Season 2, Episode 2.
Deucey deuce.
That's right. On double deucing, we got. we ain't really double deucing. That would be a different scenario.
That was back in the old days, Bobby.
Yeah, that ain't the kind of show we run here. We ultimately have had a beginning to a month that I think everybody probably is on the same page. Where we could have done better. But we're getting into that momentum. I felt like it was happening yesterday. I didn't have a chance to catch a breath. Yesterday was just super busy for me. And I don't know
what
about
you talking about?
Look, I knew he was busy. I was going to see what he said. But yeah, Brian was running around. I mean, it was just sometimes you got to embrace the chaos, and it was chaotic yesterday.
It was. But, chaos is a good thing in the car business. I'd much rather be too busy than not busy enough. And I think anybody that's a true car salesperson, whether in management or on the floor, would feel the same. I would hope you'd feel the same way, liking to be too busy. But anyway, first part of the month wasn't exactly what we were looking for, of course. If you remember last episode when we had our special guest Big E on, it was the last day of the month.
Right.
And we were selling cars like candy bars.
It was a strong close.
Yeah, we had a really strong close. A lot of times you're going to go ahead and reduce that pipeline because you're making all these deals happen before the end of the month.
Yeah.
So, and we had a really big push on Rams. We had a really big push on Jeeps, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. So we reduce our pipeline so we come out on Wednesday, the first day of the month, a little bit flat, and it showed. It showed.
Well, going into the holiday weekend too, I think it was probably a challenge for a lot of people. I haven't asked any of the car guys around, but when people are like, they already got the beach on the mind, they've already started, heading out of town and stuff like that. I mean, not to say that we didn't have some traffic. I had a lot of people come in and see me, but it was a string of bad credit for me, which sometimes you hit stuff like that.
You have to work through that.
That's right.
You have to work through it. I mean, the good credit's going to come. The willing buyer is going to come. You just have to weed through some stuff sometimes, and sometimes whenever you have bad credit, sometimes we can help out.
That's right.
We can help out on that. We've got really good financing programs to help out with bad credit. Mm-hmm. There's just some people you can't help. Like if somebody has not done a good job taking care of their bills and they want to trade in a car that they just got 5 months ago, and they're $15,000 worth of negative equity, the poor decisions in the past led to that bad credit. Now they're trying to make another poor decision. Sometimes you can't help that, and the bank sees that as well. So.
Yeah, it's the trifecta. Sometimes you got, bad credit, negative equity, and you're behind on your payment. I don't know what I forget what the third one is. No cash down. That's the trifecta. Is you got all three of those coming together. It's a challenge, and I'm always willing to embrace the challenge. I never give up on a deal until I get all those pieces of the puzzle together and let the bank answer. You know what I mean? It's up to the bank ultimately. We are not the bank. Like some dealers, that are buy here, pay here, they won't even entertain a trade most of the time. Where when you involve a trade, it adds that dynamic that you've got to get the bank on board, because you not only have to pay for that previous loan, you have to start a brand new one, and you got to. That's why I rely on Tony and yourself, because I don't. I've been doing it long enough where I can usually kind of see, how things might go. But I've been very surprised, especially lately, with some of the stuff we've been able to get worked out.
You never know.
Yeah,
and that's the key. So Tony actually talked on that in a previous sales meeting. Well, two things he talked on. Number one, mindset, mindset and determination. I thought last Friday was a good meeting, and Friday was our best day of the month so far. But your mindset is, are you really slow? So if you either have a mindset that you're going to be busy or you're going to be slow. Right. And I'm going to tell you, either way you choose, you're correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't fool yourself. determination. Whenever you come out and you're determined each and every single day, you're going to get results. Your determination and your persistence is going to give you results. So Friday was our best day. We did not have good days on Wednesday, the first day of the month, and the second day of the month, Thursday. Thursday brings me up to our showroom story.
Oh, yes.
Folks, this is one right here for the books. Our showroom story features Charlene Woody and Charlene.
Hey,
So Charlene, for the better part of a half year, has been going through some major health issues with her heart, and it took a while for the doctors to figure it out. And don't know if they have it all figured out yet or not, but she's a lot better than what she was.
Yeah.
But anyway, she is sort of working part-time at this particular point in time. And so anyway, on Thursday, one of our slower days to begin the month, she texts me and she goes, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hang in. I'm in the hospital." And she came in that morning, and then I just received a text at like 9:58 that she's in the hospital.
right. Yeah.
And not only that, but I knew that she had somebody coming in on a pickup truck. So I'm now taking measures on. I'm going through her stuff in her CRM to try to figure out what person she has coming in on what truck and all that. So anyway, she has the appointment in there. Hint, everybody on the sales staff, put your appointments in. This helps. She had her appointment in, so thankfully I was able to find it pretty quickly, right?
Right.
So anyway, I'm going through the customers. I'm reading the notes, her notes on the customer, so I can get prepared. Well, next thing you know, I look up, and she's standing in the showroom. She's standing in the showroom, Bobby, and I'm like, what did you do?
Right.
And she still has her IV thing on.
The little, she didn't have the IV, which is just a bandage.
Yeah, you know,
the needles, the wire.
The little thing that they stick the IV in and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she pulls that thing off and everything. She says, "I had to get out of there." I said, "What are you talking about? You had to get out of there?" She said, "Yeah, I got somebody coming in to buy a truck. I had to get out of there."
Oh my gosh.
And so anyway, I get a text that she's in the. I get a text she's in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember seeing her and be like, it was confusing for me. I was like, what happened?
And then I look up. No more than 30 minutes later, she's standing in the showroom. I said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
She says, "I had to get out of there." She starts yanking off this stuff right here, yanking off her hospital band, all this, that, and the other. I'm like, "My God, did you just get up?" She says, "Look, there's a truck to sell. There's a truck to sell. I had to get out of there." Now, guys, let me go ahead and tell you, that right there is what it is to be caught up in the car business. 110%. That is dedication beyond anything I've ever seen as far as wanting to sell a vehicle. You just take yourself out of the hospital, come onto the car lot, and she wound up selling the truck.
Yeah. Well, that's if that person did buy the truck, we would have been hounding them for days. Be like, "Hey, look, you got to come back here and sign papers."
I mean,
the Canadian Bulldog had her. She
and
had
now
her
we know
jowls around him.
Charlene's from Canada, right?
Right.
And so anyway, but whenever she gets a customer, she doesn't let loose of them. There's no way that customer is getting out of her bite, out of her grasp.
That's right.
So we came up with the nickname Canadian Bulldog, and it fits. I'm gonna tell you what, she is a bulldog, and she's Canadian, and just she's a great salesperson.
She worked part-time for most of last month, and she not like, I don't know if you know I should bring this up, but she outsold people that worked the entire time. You know.
She worked about three and a half days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 days a week, because that's what, kind of what the doctor told her to do.
Right.
So, we're kind of following doctor's orders up here, other than her just ripping everything off and getting out of the emergency room and coming on and selling a truck.
That's, there is definitely a passion within her that you can't teach that. That's just being in the business, and just she is really just dedicated to her work.
And she's dedicated to her customers too.
That's right.
She's one of the few sales consultants that's willing to put herself out there after the sale, such as if a customer lives somewhat close, she may offer, hey, I'll be happy to come pick up your vehicle for service anytime you need it. Sometimes a customer does take her up on that, and you know what? She delivers for them. And her service after the sale to the customer, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, customers that are sold by Charlene, okay, they remember her not because of the sale at the time. They remember her because of her quality after the sale,
Right.
her passion for them after the sale, following up with them, making sure that they're okay and everything. And not only that, but they won't, some salespeople just kind of cut it off. After that first month or so, the contact starts to dwindle off. Mm-hmm. She doesn't. And, that for all veterans that are listening, that's the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to keep up with these customers that you've sold, that they've trusted you to spend money with.
I had that.
It's just.
It came to light to me during her time that she was away was that, customers would come in and ask for her, and, we, being that we are a business and sales, we try to say, hey, look, we can help you in the meantime if you need a car. But some of those folks were really dedicated to her and said, nah, I'm going to wait for her to come back. Yeah. We're like, hey, it could be like 6 months. They're like, yeah, it's no problem. You know what I mean? Like, I had that happen a few times. And, there's that's just a testament to her ability to build a relationship with her customer and to have somebody that's, they're loyal, and that's a different degree of loyalty.
That's the way you build business, and now we can talk about that. Now we can talk about anybody in this business, right?
Right.
So the way you build your book of business is you have the folks that you've sold, and sure, there's plenty more opportunities for sales elsewhere. You grow your book of business, but you always have this book of business. And a figurative book, folks.
Right.
You turn the pages.
Now it's the click. You're clicking through your book of business.
But it used to be a ledger pad where you flip up the sheet and go through your book of business. Yeah. But you got your book of business, and you have to go back through those pages, okay, and revisit those pages constantly. It doesn't have to be the same page every month, but you now have a book of business. You have to kind of garner your customers. If you don't garner your customers, you're never going to get any fruit. Yep. And that's the bottom line of it.
Right.
So it's so important that once the customers have trusted you to spend their money with you, don't drop them like a rock. Make sure you take the time and garner them so that way they can bear more fruit. Right, so just a little tidbit nugget for everybody out there in the business that plans on staying in it for a while.
Yeah, no doubt. It's one of those things I'm continuously trying to get better at. That I feel like that's my growth point that I will have to continue to aim towards. Everybody in this business has something that they can work on. There is always an opportunity for growth. And that's, I think, what has kept me engaged in this business, for as long as I have, because, product knowledge, I mean, you can learn about product, but people are our business, and, technology, I treat that as sort of my little business within a business.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's kind of my specialty. But I always do see growth, even there. I have to switch it sometimes, and I have to take another focus. And I think if anybody's in this business and they don't feel like they have something to learn, you probably need to go ahead and retire or give it up, because there's always going to be opportunity for growth. And for me, that makes it continuously exciting. And I didn't get that with some of my previous careers. I felt like they were in the boating business. When I did that for like 8 or 9 years. I was great at product knowledge, but I felt like I hit sort of a wall because it was over the phone, and I felt like that in-person relationship that you have with people. I mean, you can
There's no comparison.
It's not.
There's no comparison from being belly to belly, eye to eye with somebody, and you're sitting there trying to come up with some sort of agreement, arrangement. In sales, basically, you're trying to come up with some sort of agreement at the end, right?
Right.
A customer's interested in something that you have. Okay, obviously, to make a living, you're interested in selling it, so you have to make the value of the product that you're selling exceed their expectations.
Right.
So what you were talking about as far as technology goes, when you go in and you give a person on a vehicle and you give them expertise of everything on that vehicle, especially in your position as a techie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have a customer that is technologically sound, you're going to mesh with them very, very well because you guys can talk the same language, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where your position right now on the sales floor is kind of like what mine was on the sales floor. I had other sales consultants coming in all the time asking me, what's the three things you always mention about this particular vehicle? Or Brian, what's the towing on the Ram 2500 with the Cummins diesel? Or Brian, I used to get those questions all the time. Now you get those questions all the time. Why? Is because you've taken time to dedicate to your craft, to hone in and perfect or close to perfect the knowledge and aspects of the vehicles that we're selling and the technology that they have. Nobody else is willing to go that extra mile. A few people, but most people aren't willing to go that extra mile. So what happens is they rely on you. And they're taking advantage of a resource, which is you.
Well,
but they have their own resources, right?
I kind of set my limit. So the reasoning I do this, and if you're watching this and you're on our sales team, just know that I do this with purpose. So if I'm showing somebody something, I'm not gonna just show you. I'm not just gonna do it for you. I'm gonna show you how I do it. I'm gonna make sure you're watching, and you may not absorb it the first or even second time, but I feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I'm just telling you. I'm going to tell you how to get there, and then I'm going to show you so that you can kind of go about and go to your customer, because customer's time is important. But I feel like even that little bit of moment that you can learn as a salesperson can maybe spark that just moment right then to say, hey, look, actually, I need to go into this after this sale's done and dig in and try to learn myself some of these things so I don't have to keep coming back. Because I'm not always going to be around. I do get customers, and I'm going to be too busy sometimes to be able to just step away and say, hey, yeah, I'll help you out with that. And I don't mind. I love it. Like I like being able to teach as part of how I grew up. My whole family was from a teaching background.
I enjoyed it too. So when sales consultants came to me asking me technical questions and everything, I kind of liked it as well, because I kind of felt they were, if I can teach them something to help them and help them feed their family, or if I can help them in any way, I want to help them in any way I can. And if they want to use me as a source, that's fine. I was an open book of source. You're a lot more patient than I was. Because what I would do is I would give them an answer.
Yeah. Right.
Instead of like showing them the way, I would give them an answer. Somebody says, how much? Well, back then, how much torque does a Cummins diesel got? Well, back then it was 650 foot-pound torque.
Right.
I said 650 foot-pound torque. Thank you.
Right.
Whereas you go, okay, let me show you the way to find a chart, So I wasn't that helpful, but I was helpful, right? I gave them the answer they needed.
Well, if I get asked something, the same question 3 times by the same person, that's usually my cutoff, because at that point I've showed you how to find it. I've then given you the answer and told you, hey, remember I told you that. And then the third time I'm like, this is it. You don't want to learn it on your own now. You can ask somebody else. Sorry. It's like a 3-strike rule,
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it. I love to learn, and I think that everybody should embrace that. I know that's difficult. It's easier said than done, because some people are they're gonna find their niche, or niche, or however you pronounce it, I don't know. But
Niche.
yeah,
I say niche.
yeah, I've always
Niche.
wondered about that word.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Well, I think it's niche.
Yeah,
I'm
niche.
gonna say niche.
Yeah, it's spelled that way. Anyways, moving on. Everybody's gonna find their niche where they get their little thing that they're really good at, and you can focus on it and just make it your superpower. And if you can turn it into a superpower, people are going to come to you, or they're going to say it on like a Google review. Man, that person really spent all that time showing me the screen and getting my stuff paired up. Or alternatively, they made it such a great experience. They were very personable. They, showed my kids attention. All those things, like we were talking about Big E. I felt like that's one of his superpowers, is his attention to people and where they're at in their process, and being able to fit the mold. Basically, he's a very easy guy to talk to,
and we touched on it in the previous episode. Patience. He's got extreme patience,
right?
And that's a very important quality. Because with the public, surprise, you got to have a little patience, right?
Yeah.
But that's one of the qualities but each person out here, if you really want to think about it, you talking about, it's funny, you talking about superpower, right?
Right.
But every person out here's got their own strong suit, right?
For sure.
And strong suit, and everybody here's got their kind of own word tracks. Now, the word tracks have been laid out for years and years and years, long before I came.
Yeah.
The word tracks in this business has been out there for a long time. But each person takes these word tracks, okay? And when I say word tracks for customers, it's not just anything just canned. It's real. Everybody personalizes it a little bit, right?
That's right.
So, if I want to find out where a customer is in the process, after they've taken a test drive on a car, I simply ask them real quick, because I just want to take a temperature check here.
Yeah.
And I just ask them real quick, look, if I can get terms and figures agreeable to you, can we go ahead and do business on this vehicle today?
Right.
I put a couple of things in that sentence, but that's the way that I say it.
Yeah.
Some people say it a different way, but that's the way that I say it. And I say it a little bit just if things are agreeable to you, can we go ahead and do this? That's basically what I'm saying.
Right.
But I kind of want to find out where the customer is as far as their love for that automobile at that particular point in time.
Right.
And sometimes you get a customer that'll say, well, it's really not the color that I wanted. One of the features I liked on my car, on my other truck, or my other van, or whatever, was it had blind spot monitoring, and I know this one doesn't have blind spot monitoring.
Right.
Right then and there, you kind of know where you stand.
That's right.
And I'd rather know that, so that way I can go ahead and pivot and adjust and try to find this customer an SUV, van, or whatever that's got blind spot that doesn't really take away what they've already experienced, right?
Yep.
So I may have to have one added package that's a safety package to this. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to try to find that for them on our lot, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And see if we can match up something for them. So I may have the right color but not the right equipment, or I may have the wrong color and the right equipment. Wouldn't it be nice to know that before you go into the office, where your chances of failing, because a customer's got to feel it in here.
That's right.
A customer's got to feel it in here. And if they don't feel it in here, and they don't feel with emotion and everything, there's no way that you can get the value up there high enough for them to give you a yes.
Yeah.
So it's different word tracks and stuff like that, but it's all for the good of the process.
Right. It's not a script. Like people.
Oh no!
If you run off a script and you're out there on the lot trying to like rattle off a script, you're gonna sound like you're reading off a sheet of paper, and that just ain't natural conversation. It ain't gonna happen, and that's gonna create a disconnect.
You
instantly.
can't script talk car sales.
No. You got to mold it, like you said.
Yeah.
You got to bring some emotion into it. I mean, this is a big deal for most people buying a car. You come out there just making a transaction with somebody, and they're gonna fall asleep on you. You know.
Yeah, like Sheriff Buford T. Justice, you say, ain't no way you can script anything in car sales. You can't come out there with a script. You know, you have a nice, a warm, friendly meet and greet, right? Yeah. There's several ways that you can do that, but really, sometimes your meet and greet will change up by the person that you're meeting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The way that you're doing it. If somebody's intently looking at a truck and looking through the window of a truck and everything, it's pretty safe to say they're interested in that truck.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
If somebody is just out there and they're walking the line of trucks and everything, it's pretty safe to say maybe they need assistance finding the right one. Mm-hmm. Maybe some questions need to be asked really, after the welcome, some questions need to be asked about, what they're looking for. Yeah. So a customer's body language and everything can change how your initial reaction is to a customer. If a customer is if you're walking up to a customer and the customer is walking up to you and they spot you at the same time you spot them, and they come walking up to you, guess what? More than likely, that's going to be a nice, friendly conversation.
That's right.
Yeah. If a customer is looking at a vehicle sideways and they see you out of the corner of their eye walking, and they turn around to look sideways again, guess what? That might be a little bit of a cold meet and greet.
Yeah.
You're going to have to maybe change up your tactic a little bit to break down that customer's defensive wall, make them feel comfortable with you, so that way you can continue with your process.
Right. Yeah.
So,
no, that's great advice. I had a question come up from a newbie here, and I'm just going to place a little newbie tip in here, because that's actually great advice for anybody in car sales, whether you're new or not. You got to remain dynamic, and you got to be able to go with the flow. I mean, that's just bottom line.
Being flexible. I mean, just you can't approach every single person the same way.
Right.
You're different than me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a lot different than you.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, there ain't nothing you can do to. People have to react with us differently.
That's right.
And that's the same way with customers. That's the reason why you can't have no script.
Yeah. Well, he had asked, he said, I see you guys just bringing people in. And like these people are just coming in. Like it seemed like from the outside looking in as a new guy, it's like you just got this lifeline of people that you can call and they just show up, and a lot of it is just being available and having a pipeline. But I told them, hey, going into this brand new, you've got to make car sales a part of your everyday interaction with people, and you don't have to throw it in their face every single time you talk to somebody. Be like, hey, don't forget, I sell cars. Send me somebody. But you make it a part of your conversation, and these are things that happen over time naturally as you become more ingrained in the business. But you just mentioned to people if they bring up something that I was telling them, you can talk to the cashier, you can talk to your waitress or waiter when you're at the restaurant. You can talk to anybody if you happen to go out and you're at the bar with your buddies and you talk to somebody that's your neighbor and they start talking. Look, cars are a part of our lives. So because they're so ingrained in our lives, it's usually going to come up in a conversation. It's crazy how it happens. Like I won't even be talking about cars, and I'll be sitting there talking with somebody, and eventually something about an automobile or something about technology or something like that has to deal with transportation comes up. I won't even bring it up. They don't even know I'm in the car business. And so you have to just, then, you can turn it into a conversation and then just, sort of mix it in there. It's a little bit of a game you got to play with yourself.
It happens sometimes. It happens sometimes where you're at a gathering and you hear somebody, I'm looking for a truck. My other truck finally conked out.
Right.
And
it's like, what?
Yeah, your internal sales antenna pops up and it goes,
Oh, hey. Yeah, and so and sometimes it's almost like overt like that. You'll just hear the cue basically to go ahead and just say, hey,
and action.
Exactly. Yeah. I was here right at the right time to say hello and give you a card. But a lot of times it just is a part of the conversation. You mentioned it's almost like just a soft little sort of tossing it out there. Hey, look, if you are looking for a car, come see me. And there's no obligation. You can come check it out. Come see me at the lot. See if you see something you like. And if you don't, I mean, we're still friends. If not, maybe down the road, because it's not a matter of if somebody's going to buy something, it's when they're going to buy something.
That's powerful. And it always is. Look, you're not going to win every single sale, and you're not going to get every single sale. It's just not going to happen. As a matter of fact, somebody told me a long time ago, this is the business of no. And I really didn't pay attention to that long time ago, but I understand exactly what they mean as I went along and became more of a veteran in the business. And what they meant by that is you're going to wait on more customers than you sell. And that's just a fact of this business. And when I'm talking about customers, I'm talking about your customers that can buy and will buy.
Right.
Okay. You think that you can sell them all.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, you cannot sell them all. It's just the amount of effort and energy that you put in to everyone that you meet that determines your closing ratio. Okay. And when I say effort, I'm talking about work. Car salespeople, I'm talking about work, and it's hard work to have a 30-35% closing ratio.
No.
And even at a 30-35 closing ratio, that puts you at the top tier of our business.
Heck yeah.
A top tier of our business.
If you can close that many, you're doing phenomenally well.
If you're selling more than one out of every 3 customers you meet, you are a top tier closer in our business, okay? But think about what the other figure is. That means you're not selling 2 people out of 3 that you meet.
Right.
Right? So I could care less. It's kind of like baseball averages, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's hitting 300 in baseball, that ain't shabby.
Yeah.
Right.
If
their batting average is 325, that's almost ungodly.
Right.
In baseball.
Yeah.
But they make more outs than they do hits.
That's right.
And that's just a fact of the car business too.
You can't take rejection personally.
No.
And it's I think if you have a problem with rejection, this ain't gonna be it for you in the business of selling cars. But it's like you said though, it's a business of no, and 95% of the time, it's the people don't know enough.
Yeah.
KNOW. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Mr. Frank used to say. I don't know if Mr. Frank's watching this, but he is a
wise sage.
He is a wise sage and a legend in this business.
Yeah. No doubt.
But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things I could say about how to deal with rejection, but you're gonna have to take that battle on your own. It took me a while because I did take some of my no's personally, and I'm sensitive.
Well, it's like with me, the very first customer that I sold was my very first up.
Oh, wow.
My very first up,
Yeah.
I wound up selling. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Okay, and that's another story, but we don't have time for.
Yeah.
But then the next 2, 3 customers, 4 customers I went through, it was not the same. It was not the same because I just went out and waited on this lady. She already knew what vehicle she wanted to test drive.
Right.
Took it for a test drive. Came in. She had great credit. Showed the payments. She was in the office signing. Right.
Right.
I was like, oh, this business is great.
Yeah.
This business is fantastic. Sold the first person I waited on.
Yeah.
Well, you have to weed through a lot. Next 3 or 4 customers, I didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance. It was a lot more difficult and everything, but then that's how you learn, because through difficulty, taking yourself out of your comfort zone in this business is very important, because you learn what not to do. Right. And if you learn what not to do, it's almost as important as knowing what to do. So, anyway, Bob.
That's great. Yeah, no, I'm so glad we get to do this every week. It makes me think about how to get better. So this podcast is actually really beneficial to me. I hope it's beneficial to the folks out there watching. And of course, if you've gotten this far, I didn't say it early, but you know what to do. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. You know, we need some more. We always need some more support. Y'all help us out here.
We have to have more subscribers, so please like, share, subscribe. East Carolina Rides, the hottest podcast in the automotive industry, and it is. I mean, look at our follower count; it's almost tripled.
We have been growing, and it's thanks to y'all and to Brian too, and me. I've been putting it out there. So, look, thank you guys for the support, and if you have anything you want to have us talk about, make sure to put it in the comments.
Yeah, put a suggestion in there in the comments. We'll be happy to talk about whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully at some point in time we'll be doing this thing live where folks can actually put a comment in there and we can see it and kind of interact in real time. So that's a couple of places that we're moving to, right?
Yep. That's the goal. Been working out the logistics and all that kind of stuff. So more to come. Y'all keep following along, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. See y'all.
Bye.